and welcome to another episode of Woodward's Watercolours. Now, today what we're going to be looking at, as he's checking he's holding it the right way around, is this is a set of Derwent and it is tinted charcoal, and I'm very excited to show you how these work and how I'm going to have a wee play with them. The other thing he's actually holding it the right way around that I got this week is a Kodak 3 printing camera, and I am really excited about this because it is a game changer in terms of how I use a reference image. So the problem with a reference image is that most of us try to just recreate the reference image. It's a reference image, and what I want to do is to have it in this lovely small size that I'm printing off, and also it means it's another screen that I don't have to use, and I can obviously keep the little photo afterwards, but it means that I'm referring to it and the quality of the detail that I can see it is less, and therefore it just helps this process of painting the way that I paint. So come with me, I'm going to show you this wonderful thing working, and I'm going to play about with Derwent Tinted Charcoal. Okay, so we've got our little bit of watercolour paper. Now this is, see what I've Brighton 350 GSM cold pressed. There's always two different sides as well. So this is the side that's got the less intense sort of pitted rough marks to it. So we use this side. And this is a little Derwent, I was going to say Derwent Tints, not Derwent Tints, Derwent Tinted Charcoal paint set. So it comes with this nice little section here that gives you obviously the different colors, and it also comes with a watercolor brush and the little stopper in it so you can have water in it. And this one, actually most of them have this sort of backwards thread on it, but this one is really sensible and easy to use. I'm not a major fan of those brushes, probably because it's a rounded edge brush, but good job anyway. Derwent stuff is of great quality and it fits in there nicely. I think this is just a little, I don't know, like a wipe it section. I'll give it a go as we do. And I've got my trusty rag here for cleaning off the brush as we go. Okay, so let's make a start with these colors. So what I do know about these is they're not like normal watercolors in that it's not within a few seconds that they begin to release their pigment. So you need to just agitate them quite a bit. And this one is dark moss. The next one that we're moving across to here is, this is forest pine. So lovely earthy tones. Do you know what you should do actually? It would make much more sense to take it and drag it across so you can see what it's like. So let's do that. He learns as he goes. The next one across then is driftwood. This one is a mountain blue. Can you see how for me this tonal range is just right up my street? Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. The next one is ocean deep. So let's have a look at this. See what this one's going to provide. Yeah. Now that feels more of a Payne's grey. That probably, when for me the mountain blue seems more like an ocean deep. This one is thistle, so I suppose I'm expecting something a little bit lavendery or purple. Yeah, there we go. This next one is glowing embers, so hopefully it's got, you know, that kind of where it nearly feels like it's slightly backlit. Oh yes, very nice. Next one is burnt embers. That's a lovely colour. Then we've got Burnt Earth, so I'm assuming that this is much more of a soily kind of a earthy tone. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem that dissimilar to these three here. Okay, so the next one is Natural. Oh yeah, that's nice. I like that one. And then the final one is Dark, because I'm not going to use the white. I never honestly see the point in having a white with watercolor, because I firmly believe that the white that you should be using is the paper. I'll mix the white anyway, Sharon. But the brush is going to be slightly tainted by, there you go. So there you go, there's the white. And then I'm assuming that I could just sort of rinse off the brush with that, which is quite a nice touch because it's a little kit, obviously, that's a travel kit. So let me lift these up to you so you can see them closer. There are lovely tones, and I love that they are all so similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print the image that we're going to be working on today, and then we're going to do a little quick demonstration as to what they could be used like, or what their application could possibly be. Okay, so we're all set up. Isn't it super duper cool? You can see I've just written on Peel Castle there, so we know where it is, and this is in the Isle of Man. So this is the little reference image that we're using. You can see how the process with the camera gives you those 3 layers of color and then a lamination on top. So it's a really, really good print. You can also see there, just for a demonstration, when you twist that there, then you can rip off that point. So that's quite nice. Normally I print them with a little white border, but if I'm being honest, I totally forgot to do it with that one. So there's Peel Castle, there's our reference. Got my water, we've got the tinted charcoal set. I've also got this off to the right, my little reference here. I'm going to move these across as well. I'll move these down here so that I can tell what colours I'm actually using, just so that I have this beside me, because I'm not that familiar with this set. I've used it a little bit before, but I wouldn't say that I am as familiar as I am with my Daniel Smith set, so I'm going to have this beside me. We're using a 12 flat shader in the in the Dillarani Simply range, which are my favourite brushes and really reasonable. And this is a little Chisel 2.0 Unipin fine liner. So let's make a start here. We want to keep this nice and loose and free, so I'm going to do this as quickly as I can. Also partly because in any sort of a video you don't want to be there forever, you know. So just going to draw this basic structure, and it's actually lovely having it in this little format here in front of me, because you're not then dependent on the technology either. So the little benefit of the Chisel brush is it's really a couple of brushes in one, and you know that I like to do lines and then do the other lines on top, which are, sorry, I was concentrating there, and then do other lines on top which are on above that are kind of stronger and darker, to be able to notice those areas, because I think that is so super duper important whenever you're drawing anything. It just causes it to pop all of a sudden. I'm going to get this bit here, just now. That makes more sense when I do that line, and also here and this line along there. Okay, now so we've got some of these bricks, these higgledy-piggledy bricks. So basically this is a very, very simple outline that's going to give me something to work with when I am adding in the tinted charcoal. Just, it always amazes me how just in the simple action of having the darker line, how it feels like the image just begins to really appear in front of you. It's just, I find that really remarkable. And also it means that those darker areas are already covered, rather than having to use some sort of an intense black, which is the joy really of using the watercolor and the ink together. These are tinted charcoal. Now I know that there was controversy in a video that I did before about Derwent, the ink tints watercolor pencils, which I still say on their website they call them watercolor pencils, but anyway, these are tinted charcoal, so you can say whether you think that they are actually watercolor. For me, watercolor is something that is released by water, and I suppose then that's why the the Royal Watercolour Society accepts submission of water-soluble oil and also water-soluble, or acrylic, which are water-soluble in nature anyway. So there you go, that's my stance on that. And I want to get this angle really quite right there, and there's another little bit there. So I'm just trying to get this little structure in the front here. It's really handy having this little chisel pen because it really is giving me with ease those different qualities of line. Okay, that's the simple structure I want. A little signature goes in there. Okay, so we're gonna tackle, let's see, now we're gonna, for the sky, be using the mountain blue. I think that seems to be the most appropriate. So I do my 3 lifts, which is just my normal structure. I know that these need more irritation than other colors. And whenever they dry as well, which is pretty cool, they have like a kind of a shine to them. But isn't that lovely? I mean, they really are just pretty much watercolor. Working away there. Just using the corner of that flat edge, my beloved flat edge brush. Now I'm going to drop in different parts of pigment here. Just around this area here. And we don't know, can't see that side, because if you can see that little bit's cut off, so we'll just use that as a natural place to finish. And I want to go around the other side of this and just then finish there too. Or maybe soften off this line a little bit. Get that bit in there, okay. Oh, and it flicks off quite nicely and a little bit flicked onto my reference image. Now, the next thing that we're looking for is a green. So I'm leaving the sky, and we're going to move down then to the foreground. So I'm going to take this green. I'm going to just simply use that dark moss. Now, obviously, in using a palette like this, you're abstracting the colors, which is something that I really enjoy. And in this, the declaration I made at the start of the video, that I'm not looking to, I don't want the reference to be slave to the reference image. A process like this really, really helps, because you actually can't be. You're working with a different color range that is present than is actually present in the reference image that you're working from, or the image that you're working from, full stop. So this is going to simplify the colors. It's going to simplify them and change them. And this area here, got that little bit there, so okay, so what we're going to do then is we're looking to begin to bring in some of the tones into the color of the tower. Okay, so where are we going to go with this? I think probably let me count back here, natural burnt earth, the burnt embers. The glowing embers is going to be the closest that I want. So we're going to take the glowing embers, which looks so much lighter here. But actually, in reality, that's why it's so good having that swatch of colours beside you, because going from the actual colour of the pan is not going to be as helpful. So we're going to just begin to add in. Now, I'm going to be careful because I don't want to go right to the edge, because that's definitely not dry yet. So we're just giving, this is layer 1, which is just adding in little bits of detail here to this tower in particular. And I can also do that across here. These are similar tones, although do you know what? I might be better changing it slightly. Let's go with the, now what is that top one? So we've got the mountain blue is the 4th across, and then the ocean deep. The ocean deep actually is probably closer, but to get somewhere in the middle, let's mix some of the ocean deep with the glowing embers. So this is another good thing to do. So we've got the glowing embers over here. We're going to mix these two together, and we're going to see what this then produces. Now, oh, that's a nice color. So this brickwork here if we can tackle this on this first layer, then that's going to give us a good base to work on, and we just can suggest to the viewer that actually, now let's just drop in a little bit of that here, and actually let's use some of this color here as well. So just begin to move that across. I'm going to go bolder across this point. I don't want these bits bleeding together. Now the other thing we can do is this one that's closer. So this is all first layer. So this one that's closer, I'm going to go with the natural for this. Oh, natural is this one. There's like a orientating yourself, isn't there, to where it actually is on the palette, which is so important. Now that's a lovely color for any brick, so you could really use this in any that you're using. And the difference is in terms of how it dries. That's the interesting bit. So just moving this across. Okay, now what we're going to do then is we're going to let this dry, and then we'll add on layer 2. Okay, that's that dry now. Now, what we're going to do then is we're going to work on to layer 2. So let's deepen the colors that we already had. So we were using glowing embers, particularly on this little section over here. And I have never used these in layers before, so I'm really interested to see as to how they take on layers as well. Will it actually work? Or will it just agitate the color that's underneath? You know, will it be kind of reignited from before? Because if it is, interesting. So actually, I'm not really seeing layers come through. What I'm seeing is a color that is really, can you see there? It's not really working as certainly as a watercolor would, which is the way that I would normally work. It's a different, goodness me, it's a totally different animal. So it shows you from before, when I had used it before, there's a little bit, there's a totally little bit of layering going on even in that second layer, but not a whole heap. So I'm just gonna have to try and achieve those darker areas with less diluted pigment, really. It's certainly giving this sort of a mottled effect anyway. But that's very interesting to me. So really, the idea of layering with this is not going as well as one might have thought. So I'm going to use some of this mountain blue here and some of this natural. So we're using natural mountain blue and the glowing embers. Yeah, it's giving very well. I mean, there's a little, I suppose the wash maybe with this one is a little bit thinner. Hopefully my head is not in the way of what you're being able to see here. If it is, I apologize. So these are a different animal altogether. So really glad for doing this little experiment with them to discover how these things actually work. Hopefully you can see from that just the suggestion. So there is a little bit, there is the tiniest little bit of layering that you're actually able to do here. And then let's take it to the front part as well. So I'm going to take the mountain blue, which is a lovely color. And then the natural tint to sort of soften off the blue a little bit. And it's actually really weak as a mix, so I need to mix that a bit stronger. You can see how you really have to agitate, whereas if you say you were doing this with Daniel Smith, your palette would be so loaded and your brush would be so loaded with color you wouldn't know what to do with it. So don't be fooled, it ain't watercolor. It is certainly a color that is, or sorry, I'm contradicting myself here. It is not watercolor as you and I would know it or normally use. It is something very, very different. And maybe it could be just me, but it certainly is taking me a bit of time to get used to how it works, which is no bad thing. And the challenge of that can be great, you know. Okay, so I'm just trying to find areas here that maybe could give me a little bit more. So we're going to get this glowing amber here. I'll actually take some of this burnt amber as well. So it really takes you to agitate, because obviously it's charcoal. Oh, it's nice. That's nice that that's given that good bit more distinction, kind of across here, and also in this area along here as well. A little mark there. I'll try and get some areas. So this colour in those bricks is slightly different there, and just kind of trying to model just a little bit. It does feel a little polka dotty, doesn't it? But okay, now what I'm going to do to finish this off and to chat for a little second is, I suppose as I'm doing this demo, the main thing that hits me about it is they look like normal watercolors, but they certainly aren't. They are as sold, which is the tinted charcoal. The abstraction of the colors is lovely. Really, really lovely. I'm just going to call this Peel. So it's Peel Castle in the Isle of Man, but we'll just call it Peel. The abstraction of the colors is really lovely and forces you to work in a different tonal range. And you get a little bit of layering, but certainly not as much as you would with traditional watercolor. The structure of the unipin, particularly the chisel, is really good to use because you've got different qualities of line, and the line works well, the pen works well with the tinted charcoal. But a wholly different experience. Really pleased with the colour of the sky. Do you know what else actually? I was just looking to see where there was the green. So let's just, one last little bit is take the dark moss and just attend to a couple of areas here where it is very much darker. Now that's actually working in terms of layering there. And then this area here at the front. Area at the front here. It's underneath where that little bit of ruin is here. Okay. Let me move all of that away. And there you can see Peel Castle. Well, what did you think of that? A totally different medium to use, and yet packaged in a way that just looks like really like traditional watercolor. You have to work a lot harder to agitate the pigment and get it out. They're a charcoal, a ground down charcoal, and they're tinted, so obviously the color range is quite muted, which I love. I love that kind of muted tonal range and really enjoy using it. It was different experience for me trying to layer with something that doesn't layer the way I would normally find with the medium of watercolor that I normally use. But I hope that you find benefit in it, and if it's something that you've been considering buying, then this video has hopefully either encouraged you to do so or gone, nah, these really aren't for me. And I enjoy to do it, really enjoy experiment. I also really enjoy showing something in the learning that I get as I'm working with it, and hopefully you can hear the authentic nature of me going, oh, right, so this doesn't layer as I'm normally used to. So there you go, tinted charcoals by Derwent, so you can go out and grab them if that's something that you would like to try out. As always, thank you for watching this video. Do continue to like. If you haven't subscribed yet, then please do so. Hit that little bell icon so that you get notified of new videos that are dropping. Any suggestions, questions that you might have, please stick it in the comments. You know I enjoy a little bit of rapport and dialogue. And thank you so much for watching, and that's bye for now. See you sometime soon.